Good evening, and what is up, Razorback Nation? We are back with your Sunday Razor recap this afternoon. I don't know about you, Austin, but woke up today and there's a nice little chill factor in the air for the next couple of days. It actually makes it feel like fall, winter type weather in November right now.
Yeah, it's nice. I call this big man weather. Because every big man I know loves the fall. Because you can actually go out there in a t-shirt and not sweat to death, But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm glad it's happening. It sucks that it's, 2/3 of the way through football season and it's just now getting to where it's kind of cold. But hey, we got basketball coming up too, so it's here, but the rest of the season coming up. So excited just to be in this time.
Right, exactly. Couldn't agree more. Before we dive in, we got to shout out our sponsors, our lovely sponsors over at Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Founded right here at home and now run by a Razorback loving family, Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool, so go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. And our friends over at Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. You can check them out today. And if you are in Northwest Arkansas, you can check out the Core Brewery Tap Room where you get Scarlet Letter and all of its various flavors, as well as their new hard teas that they just came out with. And so last night, speaking of unfortunate things, Arkansas suffers a 3-point loss to Michigan State on the road. Tough matchup. They played well at times, struggled at times. And it's, last night was a good measuring stick, in my opinion. We saw the game. We saw us get there and compete, but you saw things that we need to work on. I think the biggest takeaway for me from this game was that we've got to work and improve on our play in the paint and our physicality, because that is what won the game for Michigan State, was how physical and their ability to attack the paint.
Yeah, definitely. The bigs weren't really that great last night. The thing is, rebounding wasn't bad per se. I mean, Arkansas overall was only -1, I believe. But it's just there was a physicality difference, and you could tell. And I think a lot of that has to do with Trevor Brazile just not being able to stay out of foul trouble. He's the guy who's really going up for rebounds, going up and making those plays inside. And it just didn't work. And here's another thing: Arkansas, their half court offense just wasn't very good. And it kind of harkens back to last season when they would just get stagnant and just kind of sitting around and no one would come and, try to screen or anything. It's just like ISO ball. And it was just trying to drive to the basket every single time. That was probably the biggest one for me. It's like, sure, the bigs weren't playing good, but the guards weren't really, running an offense, and that just goes to show that these guys are still freshmen, right? They had some big freshman moments yesterday. I've been high on Malik Thomas. He had a couple, and then, Darius Acuff had a couple. Asia Sealy, even though he wasn't in a whole lot, one of the first plays he came off to try to go for the steal instead of guarding his guy in the paint, and he wasn't quick enough, and they got 2 points out of it. It's those little bitty things that add up to what happened last night. And it's not like it's unfixable, right? First thing,
Right.
Trevor Brazile needs to stay out of foul trouble. I know that there was a little home cooking, right? We all saw it. At least one of those fouls was BS. Jeremiah Fears is that a big time flopper. He's going to do well in the NBA if he can continue to flop like that. But still, you have to know the situation and stay out of those situations, right? Just
Right.
don't put yourself in that area where you're gonna get fouled, and then you're not going to be useful for the team if you're going to be on the bench. And then just get these freshmen to where they're doing a little bit more with the ball instead of just trying to play hero ball. And then they'll be fine. I think that this team I think Michigan State's a good team, and I think this team's a good team. So we just gotta let the season play out.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, this game really kind of turned out the way we talked about it with previewing it. As you look at it, the guard play for Michigan State, our guys, you could definitely tell they locked down Fears, limit him to 4 points, 0 of 7 from the field, all of his points coming from the free throw line. He did have 9 assists and 3 rebounds, but you kept him off the board for the most part with points. And you look at Acuff with 16, Wagner with 13. So kind of they definitely outplayed the backcourt there. But the front court's where, like we mentioned, you needed to see our guys step up. And, you look at our front court guys, Trevor Brazile with 3, like we mentioned, had the foul trouble that, he had to deal with. He played 16 minutes, which is not normal for him. He's usually a guy that's 25, 30 minutes or more a game, and he played 16 because of that foul trouble. You had Pringle that actually fouled out as well, played 28 minutes, scored 6 points, and then Malik Ewan played 15 minutes and had 4 points. So between all 3 of your, key bigs, you had 13 points. So
right.
That's not going to win you very many ball games. And when you look at those bigs when they would go to the line, Brazile 1 of 2, Pringle 2 of 4. So, decent there. You'd like to see a little bit better percentages, but, that's the one thing that, and I saw somebody mention it online is if we don't, it is game 2. Don't want to overreact, but if you don't learn to be able to control your guys and your foul trouble, should we, at what point do you have to kind of start playing another one of those bigs that maybe you were hoping to redshirt or kind of not use a whole lot this season, like a Zafich or Samito? Because, when you're in a situation like this, all right, Pringle was fouled out, Brazile's in foul trouble, Malik Ewan, yeah, he wasn't in foul trouble, but he wasn't necessarily being super effective last night. At what point do you have to bring in one of those guys, especially like a guy like, I think Zafich that, is a little bit bigger bodied guy compared to, Brazile and Pringle in terms of just he's a big, thick, tough guy, just getting there and tell him to go guard the paint instead of, you think like Ewan and Brazile and are more finesse finish type guys.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll come to that necessarily because you saw Pringle, who's pretty physical, and to be honest, I thought he did decent last night. I don't think he I think Ewan was a little bit of a liability. There was a couple times where he wasn't. It didn't feel like he was hustling down the court, and Michigan State was really good in transition last night. They were really good with second chance points too. So he just wasn't being that physical person that they needed like Pringle was. Pringle,
right?
Really, I think he was really, really good last night. Especially having to play so much that, he's not used to playing those type of minutes.
Right. And you look at his stat line, he doesn't necessarily wow you with scoring 6 points, but he does lead the team in rebounding with 7. He did have 3 blocks and 2 steals as well. So he's kind of making up for that in some of those other categories. It's just tough whenever you see, multiple guys, in the front court of the other team having double-digit games, and you can't get one of your big men in the double digits as well. Because you look at it, even Carter Knox didn't necessarily play great, and he played 18 minutes last night. He only took 1 shot, had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. So he's probably still trying to get into a rhythm of things after not getting to play against Southern. But
Right.
I think this was a good test. You saw Arkansas keep up with a team like Michigan State, even though they did beat us up in the paint. But Arkansas on the flip side that had the better guard play. We shot for the game 25% from deep, but a lot of those threes came in clutch moments that you really needed it to kind of spark a run. So even though this wasn't one of our higher percentage games, thinking about Southern and then the 2 exhibition games, that's going to come and go. But if you can sit 25% or higher from deep, that's going to be a good percentage there. And then, like we said before, you want to see your free throw percentage up mid 70s or higher. I mean, you'd love to see 100%, but that's going to be hard to achieve at times. So, but yeah, like you mentioned that rebounding battle, that's the thing that you look at. It's at the end of the day, Arkansas finished the game with 33 rebounds compared to Michigan State's 45.
Yeah. So I guess I was a little off there. But it's, I don't know. It was like a different team in the second half too. I mean, like just check out these the percentages, like 50%. They were 50% from the field before they went into halftime, and then they come out and they're at 28%. And that has a lot to do with Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas jacking up shots and not making them.
Right.
Like Malik Thomas put up 3 3-pointers in the second half and made 1. Darius Acuff put up 3 and didn't make a single one. It's just making those shots count whenever they happen or when you have the chance, and then making good shots. And I just don't think they did that. If Arkansas played a little bit more smart in the backcourt, they probably win this game, even with the disparity in the front court, just because we have such good guards. But yeah, it's just like you can't be doing that. You can't be putting up 14 threes in the second half and only making 2.
Exactly.
So, and that's just stuff they've got to learn for themselves,
Right. And that's one thing I noticed too. These freshmen didn't shy away from, quote unquote, the big moments either. Cause you saw right there towards the end of the game in clutch times, like especially even the last shot of the game, Brazil had that. But before that, you saw Acuff trying to make a shot at the end of the game to, or make a play, make a shot. And same for Malik Thomas. They weren't shying away from, hey, let's get the ball to one of these more experienced players. They decided to, hey, I can do this myself. I'm going to take this opportunity. And so, they'll learn from that, but it's good to see them not shying away from big opportunities like that either.
Right. And then, and the thing is, I think the second chance points, they only, let me find it again. They had 18, Arkansas had 12. So it's not like they just destroyed Arkansas in that area. But it was just enough, right? It was just enough. And hey, you know what? We're talking about Arkansas shooting. Arkansas did pretty good. Their 3-point shooting or defense, 7%, which is probably one of the ugliest numbers I've ever seen. 1-14. So, I mean, there's some negatives to take out of this, and there's some positives. Arkansas did play really good defense. They were, especially Trevin Brazile. Trevin Brazile didn't do very well on the offensive side of the ball, but whenever he did have a chance to be on the floor, he was a menace. He used that length and that athleticism to play very good defense, especially in the paint. And that's good to see going forward. Obviously, we want to see him on the floor a little bit more and maybe a little bit more on the offensive side. But like I said, there's things you can take from this game that are positive and negative. So it's just like watch the tape, do better, and then come out and play good next week.
Exactly. And it's like you said, the one glaring thing to me, and we've talked about it, and is the paint. That's the one thing that I want to see the improvement, especially you're going to have, by the time you get to, you've got these next set of games at home, but you're going to have to really make some strides of improvement there before Thanksgiving when you take on Duke, because, and nothing against Michigan State, and nothing against their guys, but their big men weren't necessarily just super talented guys. They just
Right.
quite literally out physicaled you, and and that shows. Whereas out of the final score of 69-66, out of Michigan's 69 points, 46 came in the paint. So over half their points came from the paint, and so.
And I want to be clear too. A lot of those points were like bully ball, but a lot of them were off of like pick and rolls too.
Right. And
Which,
you got to learn to read those. That's what killed us, is the number of times they would run some type of pick and roll. And I don't know if our guys got confused on whose man that was, but you'd see them just going wide open to the basket and dunking it, like, not even contested, and then some of those were also probably, like we mentioned, those second chance points where, maybe their first shot doesn't go in and they just go in there and get the rebound and put it right back in.
Right. There was a lot of that too. Yeah, I don't know, man. You just gotta be a little bit more physical, but I don't know if I can just put it all on that. It was a bunch of things. That's just the one that sticks out the most, and that's the one that most of us had questions on before the season started. So I feel like it's a little bit of a bias to like fall back on that. But at the same time, there were problems everywhere.
And again, it's like we got to stress it was game 2. Like, so.
Right. And you saw that too. You saw a little bit of the chemistry just not working out right. Who was it? I think it was Pringle trying to throw it back to Darius Acuff out on the corner, and he went towards the baseline instead of towards the top, and he threw it towards the top. So it's just little bitty things like that, and they just accumulate to. And the thing is, they did all this, probably played one of their worst games they'll play all season, and only lost by 3 at Michigan State. So, and I don't know if
it's a tough place to play.
Yeah, like right now, I'm kind of jealous because Bud Walton doesn't look like that.
Right. It's like you saw the students wearing the people love to make shirts and things with the coach's name, and you saw the shirts that was in the Izzone for Tom Izzo. And I didn't know this until talking with some friends yesterday. I didn't realize this, out of his entire coaching career, this was Cal's first game at Michigan State.
Yeah, which is kind of nuts. I can't believe I've been at Michigan State before Cal has.
Right.
I've been in that stadium, and it's nice. It's a good place to play. There's a lot of history there. I mean, like, they got a statue of was it Magic Johnson? Who I think is Magic Johnson. But they've got a statue of him just right outside the arena. Like, there's so much history to go there. So it is very surprising that out of all the places he's played, that's the first time they've played. And this is the first time since like the second or third year that Tom Izzo has coached Michigan State, which he's coached them for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time he's played Arkansas ever. So it was a very historic matchup. A lot of storylines that kind of just didn't come out until like while the game was happening. So it's kind of weird.
Right. And yeah, but to round that all out, I mean, you look at it, yeah, there's things to take away from this game, but at the end of the day, you look at it, it was game 2. Yes, there's some question marks, but for Arkansas to come in and compete on the road in an environment like that, to your point, a very storied environment where everybody showed up, it was a top 25 matchup, and to only lose by 3 is still good, a good outing for Arkansas, even though you didn't necessarily come out with a win that you hoped you would. But you learn from it. You see what you need to work on, and you've got, a handful of games before you have to go take on Duke. So you come back home Tuesday, you got Central Arkansas. Then Friday you have Samford. Then you take on Winthrop next Tuesday, and then Jackson State the following Friday. And then so you've got 4 games to prep, work on some of these things that you need to work on before November 27th, Thanksgiving, taking on Duke in Chicago in a neutral site.
Right. Yeah, you got all that time. I mean, let's look. You got some pretty easy ones in front of you, right? And just saying, all these guys can probably knock you off if you're not careful. But you got Central Arkansas, Sanford, Winthrop, and Jackson State before, so that should give this team a little bit of a runway to where they make that trip up to Chicago and play Duke.
Right.
And to be honest, Duke doesn't look incredibly good this year. I might be talking out my but hang on. I thought I saw them have some struggles early, but yeah, no, so they beat Texas 75-60. So, and Texas isn't going to be good this year, by the way. So yeah, it'll be, I think it'll still be a good game. It'll still be a top 25 matchup, more or less. But yeah, it'll be exciting.
I was about to say the one scouting report you're going to have to really work on for Duke. This is way looking ahead, but he leads in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks is Cameron Boozer, son of Carlos Boozer. His twin brother is on the team as well. I believe. Yes, Caden. So he's a forward, and his twin brother Caden is a guard. But in 2 games for Duke, he's played in 2 games, averaged 29.5 minutes, and averages 20 points.
Yeah.
So he does 20 and 10 is what he's averaging right now. So that's going to be kind of the guy you have to, really put the scouting report around, and of course that he's going to be a big man. So that's going to be where your guys like Trevor and Brazil Pringle Ewan are going to have to work and improve their physicality and work on those ball screens, because they're going to be able to look at this Michigan State tape and be like, all right, we're going to be able to hit them with the pick and rolls and ball screens and be able to get wide open shots unless we make some adjustments, which, after what we saw Cal do with that team last year, the adjustments he was able to make, I'm not too worried. It's just, you've got to find out these things about your team early. And, that's why I'm glad in the sense that we were able to be tested like this early instead of going through all these games like UCA, Sanford, Winthrop, Jackson State, and then getting to Duke and being like, oh, crap. It's good to have these tests early. And then, once you play Duke, you play Louisville, you play Texas Tech, Houston, all these, that's all before conference play. So you're able to, find out all these things about your team before you get to conference play. And then, you're able to have yourself more ready once you do get to conference play.
Right. I think I was thinking of Kansas, not Duke, whenever I said they were not doing as great. But that at the same time, Kansas still isn't a slouch. So, but Duke and Kansas play before Duke and Arkansas play. So, if there's any kind of weakness that Arkansas can use against Duke, they should be looking towards that Kansas State, because that's the only team that they have that has any kind of pulse that they play before Arkansas. But,
right. And so, yeah. But yeah, at the end of the day, so Arkansas drops 69-66 and moves to 1-1 on the season. Like we said, they'll be back in action Tuesday, the 11th against Central Arkansas. So, get out there. Let's make this environment like what we saw at Michigan State. I know, yeah, it's just Central Arkansas, or it's just Sanford, or it's just Winthrop. But let's get out there and support these guys. Last year was, the team wasn't the greatest. They didn't necessarily live up to kind of the preseason hype expectations we kind of thought. But we need to get out there, and, it actually has on the website called Pack the Palace, and talking about if you can't make the game, then let's get somebody there that can. We're more than willing over here at Hawgs on the Hill to help you find somebody to go to the game. If you have tickets and you can't make it, then let us know and we'll help you find somebody to get to the game in your spot. So we need everybody there and have those electric environments, because you can see what that does. I mean, no matter what it's going to affect the team. It's going to give you a little bit of boost. You get on a run, your crowd's going wild. It's going to affect the opposing team in some form or fashion. And that probably had some effect on Arkansas at times last night too. So, let's get out there and pack the arena. It's getting to a nice time of the year with the weather where it's cooling off. It's a nice fall here in Fayetteville. So let's get out there and support these guys as they head back home for a nice 4-game home stretch before heading to Chicago to take on Duke.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's super big to have, let these guys know that they have your support too. And let's be a little bit more clear. Like last night looked great, but it's also because they put their student section in the first like 10, 15 rows, right? All around the bow, which I don't know why, but I feel like that might be a good idea for Arkansas. I don't know. That's just, but then again, you have Hunter Yurchek, who's kind of just destroyed that environment anyway. So, but despite all of that, I know there's people out there with tickets. I know they're not super exciting. I know you might not get your money back, but at least try to, still help these Hogs and send them our way, send them the university's way somewhere so we can get these seats filled.
Exactly.
Because like you said, it is very important, not just for the team, but for just the atmosphere, I guess.
Right. And that's a perfect time to show this comment, Al Shadow Putt. We saw a university last night that actually cares about its students instead of 8 rich people in recliners. So, yeah. I mean, if you haven't noticed this year, Arkansas does have 8 reclining type chairs on each side of the officials' booth there beside each of the bench, 4 on Arkansas side, 4 on the opposing side, that they sold for, I believe it was a total of $3 million would be the income or revenue from those 4 seats combined. Yeah, the income's great, but I wonder, I just want to know whose idea it was to say, hey, let's put 4 chairs right here between the bench and the officiating and stats table and have fans sit there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know, man. It's just all kinds of screwed up. It's just crazy to see how like 3 years ago, how lively that place was. I mean, look at that game against Auburn with Muss and, Arkansas beating the #1 team in the country.
I was there, and that was an electric environment.
It's exciting. And then now it's just like depressing. Even when it's packed, it's just not the same. And I don't know
and
how
you have a Hall of Fame head coach. Like,
right.
Cal and Musselman are definitely different, but that shouldn't mean the environment should be different. So
right. Yeah, because let's be honest, now that he's gone, the stuff with Muss felt forced. Let's just be honest. I mean, while he's your coach, it's like, hey, yeah, this is fun. But like when he's not your coach, it's really corny. And I just don't think that was the reason why we were hyped. I don't think that's the reason why Bud Walton was the way it is. Mostly because we've seen the way Bud Walton was before Muss was here. It's the only common thing is Hunter Yurchek and what they've done, what the university's done with the seating chart.
Right.
That's
and
about
so, it. Well, and when you upset fans by, moving their seats and, seats that they've had since the arena opened and, forcing them to say, hey, either you pay more money or sorry, you're going to lose your seats. I know you've had these seats for 20 years, but sorry, like it's just not the way to go about things. I get you're wanting to, like somehow increase your revenue, but there's other ways to go about it than kind of forcing out some of the, your diehard legacy type fans that have been there.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. And so I think that's part of it. At one time they've talked about renovating the stadium and moving the student section and, adding like more suites and stuff. And I just don't think that's the answer because, Bud Walton, when it's packed, can be a difference maker, is an insane environment. Like Austin just mentioned, you go back and watch clips from the game against Auburn back when Muss was here and they were ranked number 1 and we knocked them off. That was one electric environment, probably one of the craziest games I've been to. That's right up there with the Qualls dunk game when Arkansas beat Kentucky. Like there, you can see the times that this arena can be packed and be crazy. And yeah, so what if it's UCA, Winthrop, Samford? It don't matter. If you don't want to go, get your tickets to somebody that will go. And, at the end of the day, you're supporting these kids and these athletes.
I was just about to say, like, under Mike Anderson, it was still packed and loud and everything like that. And you gotta think. I think Kentucky was like the 15th ranked team in the country. It's not like they were top 10 or anything like that.
Right.
And Arkansas was unranked. It wasn't nearly as exciting as seeing a ranked Arkansas team and against some of the guys, some of the teams are going to play this year. I mean, Louisville is going to be a fun game to watch, so that should be completely packed out. But yeah, like there's just kind of no excuse for it. Like if you have tickets, get them to somebody or come to the game.
Right. So, like we said, Arkansas will be back in action this Tuesday against UCA at 7:00 tip-off. So get out there if you can. But other than that, not a lot else going on in Razorback Nation. We'll be back Thursday with our regularly scheduled show as Arkansas will be headed down to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. It'll be the Battle of the Golden Boot interim edition with both teams having interim coach, as we know, Brian Kelly being fired after their loss to Texas A&M, and obviously Pittman being fired after the loss to Notre Dame earlier in the season. So,
right, and Garrett Nussmeier was benched in this this game too. So it could be just completely like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, and you know how Arkansas is with backup quarterbacks. So
makes them look like a Heisman candidate every time. That's the weakness. If you're going to play Arkansas, I'll tell you now, go ahead and start your backup quarterback, and that's the answer. That's the game plan. So, but yeah, who knows what chaos will ensue, because in terms of this, at least from the Arkansas side, we've heard it from the LSU side, not as much, but from the Arkansas side, this is a rivalry game. We always love to beat LSU, get the Golden Boot. We always seem to play well in this game, whether it's at Fayetteville. Last year wasn't the best example, but previous years, you look at the previous 3 years before that, all those games decided by a field goal or one possession game. I know that stat doesn't bode well for Arkansas, but let's get a little bit crazy down in Baton Rouge. Show up, show out.
How about Arkansas basketball also losing by one possession too? Isn't that just
what is with Arkansas sports in one possessions, man?
I don't know, man. Ugh.
So we'll be back. We'll be previewing the game on Thursday, and it'll be fun. We'll see what info we get. It'll be interesting to see the injury report this week. Hopefully we get some of those linemen back. Hopefully Talen's not on an injury report after taking that big hit in the game a couple weeks ago at Mississippi or against Mississippi State, where he got hurt on the last play of the game. So it's going to be fun to see these remaining 3 games we got. Headed to Baton Rouge this week. Next week, headed to Austin to take on Texas, and then rounding out the season at home against Missouri.
Yep. Be fun.
So, quick update for you guys on our Pick'em Challenge. So, after this weekend, I'm sitting at 68-42. Hobbs is sitting at 65-45. And Austin is at 59-51.
Yay.
Any games surprise you this weekend on the results?
Yes, the Virginia getting beat by Wake Forest surprised me.
Yeah. Did you happen? I was going to say, did you see the score in the Oregon-Iowa game?
Yeah.
Oregon won it by field goal.
2
points, but they kicked a game-winning field goal. They put them up by 2.
Whew. Close. And then also, I guess it's not surprising, but it's just like now they do decent is Clemson, like 24-10.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it was kind of a crapshoot anyway. Both of those teams are not good. Florida State and Clemson
I was
aren't
about to
good.
say
So.
both those teams don't have a really chance to do anything postseason wise. So I mean,
Oh, and then TCU getting beat. That was strange.
I was about to say, and if you didn't get to watch it early in the day too, Indiana and Penn State, that game came down to a field goal. So Penn State's showing some fight and taking Indiana right down to it. That game was a good game. I got to catch some of that this weekend. Other than that, no other super crazy games. Vandy beats Auburn 45-38. So Vandy continuing to rank 16th and continuing to win. Other scores around the league in the SEC. A&M beats Missouri 38-17. Alabama beats LSU 20-9. Georgia takes care of Mississippi State 41-21. Ole Miss beats the Citadel 49-0. Kentucky beats Florida 38-7. And DJ Lagway was benched in this game as well.
Yeah. I think that has way more to do with Florida than it has to do with DJ Lagway. Let's just be honest. They're kind of a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
It's like Arkansas is just like a little bit caught on fire. Like they're so close, and that's why it sucks that it's like this. They're just so close to being really, really good. I mean, apart from their trash defense. Florida, Auburn, all those places are just up in flames right now.
Right.
I think Arkansas is probably out of the open jobs are sitting pretty compared to LSU. Well, not really LSU. The Brian Kelly thing surprised me. I'll be honest with you. I know he wasn't going to make it there. He wasn't ever going to be a long-term option, but to do it in the middle of the season is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. Oh, before we get out of here, I want to ask, have you seen that video that Michigan State's running wild with about Brazil supposedly hitting a student with a towel?
Bro, you can't tell me that was an accident. He knew what he was doing. I'm sorry. He pulled it up and he just wham hit that kid in the face with a towel. Like, obviously, if I were a Michigan State fan, I'd probably be pushing it too. At the same time, it's one of those funny things that happens in sports. The kid's not hurt.
Since you're an Arkansas fan, it was an accident, right?
Right. Hey, look, all I'm saying is that guy's got a towel that he could probably sell on eBay whenever, Trevor Brazil goes into the NBA and does all good things, like a win's a win. Like, you got hit in the face with a towel, but you can sell it later.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get ready to wrap up here. Not a ton of content going on right now. No news really with the Arkansas coaching search other than what we talked about last Thursday. No news right now. I'm sure they're keeping as much as they can under wraps. And so, if we get any intel this week, we'll bring that to you on Thursday. Other than that, you got anything else before we wrap up and get out of here, Austin?
No, sir. I think that's about it.
I was about to say, I will say, unfortunately, game day is not headed to Arkadelphia to watch the OBU or to be at the OBU Henderson game. Instead, they're headed to Pitt to see Pitt take on Notre Dame.
I did my best, man. I did my best. And you know what? I mean, it kind of makes sense since they're probably going to have to get what's his name, Herbstreit out of there fast to go somewhere else to call a game because none of them is going to be called in the OBU Henderson game. So I mean, logistically, it all makes sense, but still, it's just stupid. It would have been so cool.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
William jumps in here and says, I think he means Cal, but he said, I think it was brilliant with Cal doing the Michigan State so early in the season. It's just getting them boys ready for what they're going to face in the SEC time so that they're going to be ready. Exactly. Right. That's what William, That's what we were talking about earlier. It's a good early test, as I would call it, a measuring stick where Arkansas can see where it's at instead of, just trucking through these non-conference games, these smaller teams, and feeling good about themselves. Hey, let's get a tough test in early, see what we need to work on, make those improvements, and then, see how much this team has changed and improved, by the time we get to Duke here in 18 days. So a couple weeks.
Oh, it's coming. 18 days till Thanksgiving too. Yeah, my favorite holiday.
So as we get ready to wrap up here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Hit that like and subscribe button. That way you don't miss when we go live. Go follow and check out our social media platforms across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We're across all of those. And yeah, we'll be right back here Thursday this week to preview Arkansas LSU and the battle for the Golden Boot, and talk about this week's basketball action as they'll have a game Tuesday. We'll preview a game on Friday and look forward to weekend. So with that, we're going to get ready to wrap up here. Everybody have a great beginning of your week, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. From Austin, myself, we're going to get out here, and we'll see you on Thursday.